Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got. Yeah, good.
Mr. Gorbachev.
You didn't build that.
Mr. Gorbachev.
Yeah, good.
Tear down this wall.
Your favorite president?
Tear down this wall.
I can see Russia from my house. Pokemon go to the polls.
Ask not
Yeah, good.
what your country. You did say well alive.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. It's been a long time.
It's been since our spooky presidents episode in October.
Oh, that's when we got sent into the other realm.
Yeah, so that's where we've been.
Yeah, we've been haunted.
No, this is how we started like every episode.
That's being in
And
the other realm?
Mullhuff was going, we're gonna go ghosts.
That's true. We're going
keep
too
doing this.
spooky again. Okay, no spooks. Undoing the spookiness.
Yeah.
No ghosts, no goblins.
Happy March, Kyle. Our last episode was in October. Why did that happen?
It happened because I've been fighting in Ukraine.
That feels like a really fucked up joke.
It happened because I've been planning an invasion.
No. Kyle's Putin? What a heel turn.
What a twist.
Please, on your iTunes reviews, be like, turned out this show was hosted by Putin the whole time.
Doing just a crackerjack American accent. No, I've been working. I got a job as a teacher full time at a high school that I will not name. So I've just been really busy.
To the school on a school with no name.
So I've just been incredibly busy doing that. But now we have a little bit of time tonight to do a rapid response app.
Our co-host Penny is like hunting things and jingling around. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's a little loud.
And you finished your you got your master's
finished my
degree
master's.
throughout this whole podcast. You
Right.
started and now finished it.
And I'm a master, and I will only answer to that title.
Congratulations, Master
Thank
McCormick.
But yeah, so we've just been really busy.
Oh, and then you got COVID.
Oh yeah, I did get COVID.
So we had a Christmas episode planned, and
right.
I think you got COVID like when we were supposed to record. Anything to get out of a taping, am I right?
That's right. So I got COVID, and I'm fine.
You quarantined the whole 10 days basically, and then on the 9th day is when the CDC was like, you don't have to, like,
Yeah, that
why are
sucked.
you quarantining for 10 days? Go back to Jamba Juice.
That sincerely sucked because I felt fine after like 2 or 3 days.
But then it sucked because you felt fine and after 2 or 3 days, and it was the 2 or 3 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we could have actually spent Christmas together instead of you quarantined upstairs.
Like a freak.
Like a freak of nature. But you did still feel like pretty weak and bad.
Yeah,
so
it was not pleasant.
Maybe you could have come out and not contaminated all of us and been able to like go pick up Robitussin from the store. Not that that's good for COVID. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so I could
But,
keep robo-tripping.
Yeah, you keep robo-tripping. But it's like, to them, it's like, well, if you're going to come out of your room, you may as well go straight to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, you weren't well enough to go to work. That's fucking bullshit. But anyway, here we are.
Here we are.
That's the way it is.
We're doing a rapid response episode. It's not going to be a very long one. We're going to be talking about what's going on in Ukraine, as well as a response to the State of the Union address.
The state to, what's the...
The SOTU.
So to...
I think that
So to us all be a union address.
Okay, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
we've had a long day, folks.
Yes.
Um,
Long day of...
So first,
Things.
we're going to talk about... God, not that. First, we're going to talk about Ukraine and Russia.
And then the State of the Union?
Yes.
I thought the State of the Union now would be like fresh off your mind. And...
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so he watched the State of the Union. I went out with my mom to get Mexican food while he watched the State of the Union. So, I'm kind of like fresh as a baby's head.
Right. So the State of the Union, delivered by President Joe Biden, was really boring. Mm-hmm. He had some gaffes. some flubs and
Joe
snubs.
Biden?
Yeah.
You know he has a stutter. He
There-
can't always know what words are.
There were some IMDb style goofs.
So what goofs?
Well, one of the prominent ones was referring to the Ukrainians as Iranians, which is not what they are. Different country.
So what did he say?
He said something along the lines of like, Putin's never gonna break the spirit of the Iranians.
He's like, Putin might have a lot of guns, but he doesn't have the love of the Iranians.
Yeah,
That's kind of what he said.
That's what he said.
And Kamala in the background is like, he said it. He said the wrong.
Yeah, she's basically tugging at her shirt collar.
Yeah,
looking
and she
around.
had a flub today as well.
Do you want to share the flub?
Pull it up on your phone, the quote.
Okay.
So, yeah, Joe Biden said that it's not great. Yeah, is it a word that's sort of, is it a mistake you might make when talking with your friends? Sure. Is it a mistake you should make during the State of the Union? When people already
No.
think you might be mentally unfit and you can't draw a clock from memory? No.
Simply no.
So it also isn't great after Kamala's flub. So what did she say earlier in an interview? And give the context.
I'm going to.
Oh,
And the host of a radio show asked her to give a layman's a layman's explanation of what's going on. So what's going on in Ukraine? And she says, Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
And the thing is, I listened to the clip after this because I was like, no, she can't have said this, even though it sounds like the way she talks about everything. And she said it. And she said it like that. And if she's really being kind of ironic or really thinks this is how you break it down to the American people, it's condescending as fuck.
Yeah, it really is.
If not, it's just really dumb and shows a really bad understanding of
Right, if she's answering the prompt,
what's going
then
on.
it's insulting. If she's not, then it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's very, I didn't study for this, and now I'm pretending I read the book.
Right.
And it's like, it's fine if that's what I said about the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because I didn't run for president. It's like, she's Veep. That doesn't give her an excuse also because she ran for president.
Right, she wanted to
And
be
she's
the
a
president.
heartbeat away from it. So it's like, you can't just be like, sorry, I never studied that.
Also, she doesn't say outright that Ukraine is a small country, but she certainly makes it sound small.
Like
Ukraine,
it's just this...
like it's
yeah.
Lithuania
Like
or
that's
something.
the problem.
But
is
Ukraine
that
is
Russia's
this-
big and it's small.
Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe, so...
In Europe?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know what the largest is?
What?
Russia. So Ukraine's bigger than any other country in Europe besides Russia.
Yeah, she would not have given that explanation if it was like Russia versus the UK or
Right.
something.
The UK is like a third of the size of Ukraine.
That's pretty awful. So what were the other Joe Biden bluffs?
Well, I mean...
Bluffs.
So most...
Flub. Finish your sentence.
I'm really trying hard. Most of the time, it wasn't so much specific flubs as that all of it was really boring and dumb.
Well, at least he seemed really young and
Right.
with it.
People were mad at him online for saying to fund the police.
Defund the police?
To fund the police.
Oh.
No, he said, you're defund the police.
Defund
We
the
should
police.
fund the police.
We should front the police.
We should front
Like,
them.
wait, what's his
Listen here, Jack,
position?
we were from those police.
Black Lives Matter is like, Joe Biden is the best. He wants to defund the police.
Placards matter.
Black Arts
I
Matter?
said placards.
Oh, placards.
Yeah, placards matter. That's what he thinks it means. That's what he thinks they're all saying.
A
'Cause he's dumb.
placard? Like
Yeah,
that you
like a
put
placard.
on a... Okay, it's a really weird sentence.
That was the joke!
Okay.
Oh, boy. Why do we do this? So, that was weird. People didn't like that. He also ended it by saying, like, God bless the troops and go get him.
Go get him?
Yeah.
So go get Putin?
He hadn't talked about Putin in like an hour. It was not at all clear who he was talking about.
God bless the troops and go get them.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
he may have been doing like a go out there and get him. Like, go.
A real Ted Lasso is
Yeah. But it's like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? Go get who?
That sucks.
So,
He should go get him, whatever that means. Don't put it on the people.
he should.
And yeah, it also does sound like he's inciting war.
Yeah. Sound like a trigger phrase. I was gonna make a bunch of Marines invade.
So,
What was your question?
oh, I don't know. So, what were the main topics he discussed?
So he starts off
Was
talking
any of this
about-
important?
So he starts off talking about Ukraine.
Ukraine,
Lucia?
like cocaine.
Yeah.
Cocaine.
He started talking about Ukraine and Russia. And he just says like, this Putin guy doesn't even know. He's stepped into a world of trouble. Now we're not going to allow any Russian planes to fly over the United States.
Even with
No.
refugees.
Yeah. Well, they're coming from Ukraine. They're not coming from Russia.
Oh yeah.
But and then he kind of just pivoted and gave like a normal stump speech where he was just like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna repeal the Trump tax laws, and we're gonna do a blippity blappity blue. Like just give.
And then he said we're gonna give all our money to the Ukraine to fight Putin.
He didn't say we're gonna give all of our money to Ukraine.
I mean, a lot of it.
He said we're gonna do our best to support Ukraine, but he said we're not gonna involve. He said that earlier today.
We're not getting involved, but we're giving them
We're not sending
billions
troops
of dollars.
to war. I don't think we're giving them billions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. It was millions.
It was an episode of Billions
It was
where Bobby Axelrod
We're giving them
is
our
trying to funnel money
billions.
to the Azov Battalion.
Bobby Axelrod. Is that a character?
It's the main character of Billions. That's Billions.
That's Paul Giamatti?
No, it's
Oh,
I
Vince
almost said
Vaughn.
Damian Lillard.
Wait.
Damian Lewis. He's
Oh,
Billions.
I thought it was Angelina Jolie's dad.
John Voight?
Yeah.
John Voight is not on Billions.
What is he on? Isn't he on?
Cocaine?
No, isn't he on like Boss or whatever it is?
But that's Kelsey Grammer.
But also,
I don't know what John Voight's on.
he's on something.
He's on. Oh, these tweets. He's on something. No, Billions is Bobby Axelrod, played by Damian Lewis. His second in command, played by David Costabile.
Who's Costa?
Gail Bedecker.
Oh, okay.
And then he's got his therapist,
Well,
played
Kyle.
by Maggie Siff, and she's married.
Maggie Smith?
Maggie Siff.
Gryffindor.
She's married to Paul Giamatti, who is the
Good
district
for him.
attorney of New York.
Good for
And so
him.
he's going after Axelrod's Axe Capital, his company.
Ass Capital.
Axe Capital, because his name's Axe. It's Bobby Axelrod.
Ass Capital.
Billion.
Billions. Okay. Strong recommend?
Yeah, it's great. It's Billions.
Sure.
They do a billion.
Sure they do.
Do you ever do a Billions?
Yes.
No.
Anyway.
it is.
So what?
So it's boring. Just who
I
cares?
burped. What's boring?
Biden?
Oh, okay. Not Billions.
No, Billions is great.
President Billions.
Well, we had him.
That's true. Wait, which one was that?
That was Trump. Was President
Just
Billions?
checking. Okay, so State of the Union.
So-
Then you watch the response.
I watched the Republican response,
Starring who?
starring Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds,
A woman.
a woman. And would you believe it? Hers was also really boring. They picked her because she's not.
Controversial?
Oh, I forgot to tell you this. At one point, Marjorie Taylor Greene, during the State of the Union, tried to start a "Build the Wall" chant. Didn't really work.
That's such a think she's popular in the school.
I know.
And then
She's trying to start a slow clap.
It's like, no.
And then Biden talked actually about a good thing. He's talking about burn pits a little
Well, how'd
bit.
they stop the build the
They
wall?
just ended. Like she was just
Okay.
like, build the wall, build the wall, because nobody is going into there. But so Biden was talking about burn pits a little bit, and he was clearly leading into drawing the connection between maybe Bo's brain cancer was related to burn pits.
Yeah, which he said a billion
Of course,
times.
of course.
Uh-huh.
But so he's about to make this connection, and he's like, "There's all these kids that are dead or whatever about in the war," and Lauren Boebert goes, "You put them there." She's like 13 dead in left behind in Afghanistan.
Savage.
Yeah. And he's just like, "Grr, grr," and then he just kept going.
He didn't respond.
No.
Go, because he got a teleprompter.
Right.
Which, so would I, but
Of course.
not an excuse. Wow.
So that was gnarly.
That's crazy.
And then, so the GOP response, they picked Kim Reynolds because basically she's not Marjorie Taylor Greene or
yeah,
Lauren Boebert.
she's
She's
going
just
to
a
be
normal,
professional.
boring- And she gave just the most standard, normal, boring Republican speech, just like, we want to make this country competitive again on the world stage, and blah, 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 and this is a great place, and don't we love America for... I mean, even that would be too
Okay,
interesting.
so there wasn't anything about Biden's speech being bad.
No, it's... The idea behind the response to the State of the Union is usually...
What they think.
They give...
It's a vision board.
Yes, they give... They almost say what they would say if they were president.
Bless you, my mom sneezed. Okay, so I guess we've talked about this.
And then I watched parts of Rashida Tlaib's response,
Okay.
which she gave on behalf of the Working Families Party.
Ooh, did she leave the Democrats?
No.
Okay, but still, the
yeah.
Working Families Party, which are in a couple of states, they you can sign up for both. Like you can be a member of. In some states,
In
you
some
can
states.
be both a Democrat and a Working Families Party member. Like I think Oregon, I had that option maybe.
I think, though, it didn't work in Oregon.
Okay.
There was some weird...
It doesn't work
dispute.
on some primaries.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, it's
know.
a seemingly good organization.
Yeah, they're a little corrupt in New York.
Yeah, like
they
they
back
were-
Cuomo and stuff.
Yeah, and Warren over Bernie.
Yeah.
Even though they had endorsed Bernie
They're
before.
just a little PMC Libby.
Anyway,
which of many
that's what they
characters,
call
PMC
me.
Libby. Oh my god, I love Warren.
I am so Libby. Or if you watch 90 Day Fiancé, PMC Libby.
Who's that?
Andre, he's like, Libby.
Oh, that's his
The
girlfriend?
family Libby. He's like, I love Libby. You are a bitch. I can't do it right now.
Oh, I love Libby. So, Rashida Tlaib's, honestly, like, it was fine. It was very... It was like Biden and Reynolds' speeches because it was very boilerplate. But Tlaib's was very boilerplate, kind of like DSA-y progressive speech.
So, like, these things that we need.
All the same stuff.
Yeah.
The same stuff that now Bernie's been saying for 7 years or whatever.
Yeah, that then Biden
That there's
used
been
to get elected.
zero
and
progress on. I mean,
Kamala says she supported all of it, and
Right.
she doesn't. So,
So it felt very impotent.
okay, well, so,
And then
uh-huh.
it was announced that Marjorie Taylor Greene was going to give the America First response. And as far as I can tell, it didn't happen. I can't find a feed of it anywhere, and nobody's saying that she
she's
did.
Why?
But that was what I was looking forward to, because she's wild.
She's wild, then.
So that was my state of the... Oh, and then I watched Seinfeld and ate a burrito.
Okay, yeah. Which we brought him from the Mexican restaurant.
Right. And I had a limoncello LaCroix. It
Mmm.
was very good. I might have another even.
Another.
Another. Oh, I'm bad.
Yep. I couldn't possibly
my
have another.
So that's what's happening with the State of the Union.
And Biden, he had to address Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, and
he had
also
to address
said...
COVID.
He also said, like, we're basically taking masks off. Like...
Even he said that.
Yeah. He was like, starting Friday, the CDC's gonna basically pull their entire indoor mask mandate. They'll still recommend it, but it won't be mandated anymore. Which I saw people point out, like, wow, masking must poll like ass for the midterms.
Yeah, because
they're
before that
turning
was
around so
Biden's
fast.
main thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking. It almost feels like him saying, I don't know, Build Back Better is not a good idea.
Oh, he didn't say Build Back Better at any point during the whole thing.
I heard him before I left the house saying something like, which is why we need to pass my economic recovery
Right,
plan.
but he didn't say the words. He didn't say the brand.
That's how bad it's...
Yeah. Rashida Tlaib did, which is also one of those things where it's like, oh, you guys are just Democrats. Like,
I've seen her tweet about, like, how important it is to pass it.
Yeah.
Which, like...
It's fine.
It
But
is a
that's-
leftist thing. Like, they should pass it.
It's fine, but
I
it's
guess.
just, it shows that they're Democrats, which is fine.
Oh, I got salsa on me.
Oh, I got salsa on me.
Anyway, so let's close the book on that.
Okay. Book closed.
So,
How far in are we?
14 minutes.
Felt like 14 hours.
Okay, shut the fuck up. So,
This is an out of pocket episode.
so you're out of pocket. Pay me your deductible. Anyway,
This one's gonna be
just tell me about Ukraine.
okay.
What is it? Have now established it's bigger than everywhere else in Europe, which is
Right.
crazy, except for Russia.
Which is only like half in Europe.
And it used to be part of Russia.
Right. Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, and before that, it was part of the Russian Empire, and I believe before that, it was part of the Kingdom of Poland, Lithuania, and I believe before that, it was part of the Kievan Rus, and then before that, I
So
believe
slow down,
it was
Kamala.
part of Mongolia, the Mongols Empire, the steppes. Ukraine. It's a lovely little country, tiny place. It gained its independence 32 years ago.
32 years ago. So after... So
It
about
basically-
1987...
Around 90
90?
is when it got its
Oh,
independence.
32 years ago. You guys are old now. So I was
Yeah.
thinking because you were born in 1990.
I know.
Okay, so... 90s,
it was
after
basic-
Chernobyl happened in Ukraine.
Yes,
under
Chernobyl was in the early
Russian
80s.
rule.
Yes, Chernobyl was in the early 80s. It was done under the Soviet command. And
And-
Chernobyl is in the north of Ukraine.
And it was all bungled, and the Ukrainian people that lived in that area were all fucked up and poisoned because the Soviet Union lied about how
but
bad
that
it was.
doesn't play a huge role in the story.
But I think it's interesting context.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Of like why you wouldn't want to be part of the Soviet Union. Or
Yeah, but I think it was a
Russia.
lot more complicated than that.
But it's not good, baby.
It's not good, but it's. There's a reason it's not the part of the story I led with.
I am a co-host.
Sip your water. In your sippy cup. She has a sippy cup. So
It's not.
it's a sippy
It's
cup.
a regular woman's
It's a sippy
cup.
cup.
It's from Costco.
If you turn it upside down, will it leak?
yes,
Not really.
It's not...
I mean, it'll leak a little bit, but so will a sippy cup. If you knock it off the
Don't
table,
talk to me about children.
if you knock it off the table, will it make a big mess?
Yes, because the top will come off.
Because it has a top. Sippy cup. Sippy cup.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, go.
About your sippy cup.
There are going to be important people listening to this, and you're embarrassing me. There could be a
Sip.
count or a countess. There
Harry
could
and
be a Count
Meghan are listening to
Dooku.
it. A Count Duke. Harry, Meghan, and
Wait,
Count Dooku
Count
are all
Dooku
listening
is
to
just
it.
a duke and a count.
And
That's
it
like
sounds
saying
like
Count Lordy.
Count Lordy's a cool name.
And he's a duke. Ooh. And he's a
He's
count.
taking the fat Dooku.
Okay, but talk.
Okay, shut up. But speak on that.
Speak your truth.
I'm trying. I'm really, really trying. So Ukraine becomes independent from the Soviet Union. Ukraine's independence from the Soviet Union in the early 90s is what triggers the fall of the Soviet Union, more or less.
Ukraine trying to leave.
Ukraine successfully leaving.
It
And then it was like,
Help trigger.
Kazakhstan was like, we're out of here. And the Baltics were like, us too. And Belarus was like, later, bro.
What's Belarus exactly? It's its own
another
place.
country.
It's a beautiful name. It
Belarus?
means beautiful red. Rus.
I think it would mean that in Italian, but I don't think it means that in Russian.
Okay.
Because it comes from Russia.
Yeah, but Russia means red. I think.
I don't know that it does. Does it?
Well, in like Italian.
Well, in Italian, but it's a totally different language family.
Yeah, but I didn't know.
Yeah, but it's a totally different language family.
Okay, well, look it up and keep explaining at the same time.
Okay, so all these countries become independent, which is the fall of the Soviet Union, right?
Okay. Why'd they let them go? Or did they win through war?
No, they voted for being these huge, violent dictatorial states. All these communist countries let their people go without a shot being fired. In the Soviet Union, it peacefully dissolved.
Wow.
It would be
Just
imagine
like a gross thing.
just like
Just like a chewable tablet. Okay, what does Belarus mean?
So it does come from Russia. It comes from Rus, which is a medieval state populated primarily by the East Slavs. Russia basically means land of the Rus. And it just sounds like that's just what they call themselves. Like there's not...
Rus just means Rus?
As far as I can tell, it's
Well,
like...
look up what Rus means.
I'm trying. It literally says, originally the name Rus referred to the people, regions, and medieval states, 9th to 12th centuries, of the Kievan Rus. In Western culture, it was known as Ruthenia from the 11th century onwards. Its territories are today distributed among Belarus, northern Ukraine, eastern Poland, and the European section of Russia. The term Rossiya comes from the Byzantine Greek designation of the Rus, Rossiya, related to the modern Greek Rus, Rossiya. So it just sounds like that's just what they called themselves.
But isn't the Greek word of a Rossiya, isn't that like a rose or red?
No.
Or rosacea?
No, that's all Latin. It's not Greek, I don't think.
Okay, let's keep going.
Wait, this is weird though.
Why does it just mean...
Why does it just mean that? This is really strange. Okay, wait. The most common theory of the origins of Russians is the Germanic version. The name Rus, like the Proto-Finnic name for Sweden, Rotsi, supposed to be descended from an Old Norse term for the men who row, rods.
The men who rowed?
Row. Like row.
Rus.
As rowing was the main method of navigating the rivers of Eastern Europe. And it could be linked to the Swedish coastal area of Roslagen, or Roden, as it was known in earlier times. The name Rus would then have the same origin as the Finnish, Estonian, Voro, and Northern Sami names for Sweden, Rotsi, Rutsi, Rudzi, and Rota. It is remarkable enough that the local Finnic and Permic peoples in northern Russia proper used the same Rus-related name for Sweden and Russia, depending on the language. Thus, the Veps name for Sweden and Swedish is Rosinma Rosen, while in the Komi language spoken further east, the etymologically corresponding term Rokmu and Rok already means Russia and Russian instead. The Finnish scholar Tor Karsten has pointed out that the territory of present-day Uppland, Södermanland, and East Gotland in ancient times were known as Reuter and Roden. Thomson accordingly has suggested that Reuter probably derived from Rodsman or Rodskolar, meaning seafarers or rowers. Ivar Asen, the Norwegian philologist and lexicographer, noted Proto-Germanic root variants Rosfolk, Roskar, and Rosman. So it sounds like it's from Germanic, from like Norse.
Vikings named
And it means
Russia.
rowing.
Rus, Rus, Rus your boot gently down the Strus.
That's right.
Well, we learned a lot. Okay, so
I did.
back
I
to...
feel like I learned quite a lot.
That was crazy. And your people are Vikings,
Oh, and-
so you helped name Russia.
Belarus means white Russian.
Oh my god, I could go for a Belarus right now.
And in fact, if you look at the history between whites and reds in Russia, that would be quite a problem to call them the reds instead of the whites. The whites were the conservative opponents of the Red Army during the October Revolution.
Wow.
Yeah, wow indeed. So, Ukraine becomes independent.
They become independent, and so do the other ones.
So Belarus and all this. So, but
They were the
first,
one that got away.
We need to peer back in time a little bit.
Oh man.
We need to peek behind the curtain.
Kyle's doing like a gynecological OBGYN opening up labia, lips, and looking for a baby.
Look at
gesture.
Where that baby at?
He's peeling behind the glass curtain. Okay.
In the late 1980s,
A Stranger Things time.
when East Germany and West Germany were in talks about reuniting. You remember that there's an East Germany and West Germany?
Yes.
Do you remember why?
The Berlin Wall.
Do you remember what that is?
A wall in Berlin.
Okay. So, there's an East and West Germany because after World War II, the U.S. and the Western powers and the Soviets
Western powers. Sorry.
each he's a Soviet spy. They each occupied half of Germany. The Soviets occupied the east half. The Americans occupied the west half. Berlin is in East Germany, but it was the capital, so they also split that in half. So East Germany and East Berlin were both communist. In the late 1980s, the Berlins and attendantly the Germanys wanted to reunite. Now, James Baker, who was Secretary of State for Ronald Reagan,
James Bader.
yeah, he made an informal agreement with Soviet Premier Mikhail Gorbachev that if the communists pulled their troops out of East Germany and East Berlin and peacefully allowed them to reunite under West German government, functionally, then Germany would be the eastern border of NATO. Now, what does that mean? We got to peel back a little further into the past. The North
Because
Atlantic,
what's NATO?
the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was founded by the powers of Western Europe and the Anglosphere, Canada, America, Australia, etc.
After World War II.
After World War II, in order to contain Soviet expansion in Europe. The idea was the Soviets won't go and try to take over Poland, because if they did, NATO. Well, Poland wasn't part of NATO. Poland's part of the Warsaw Pact. But the idea was that they wouldn't push any further west.
Mm-hmm.
So after the end of the Cold War, actually, there was some discussion about, what's NATO for now?
Yeah.
Soviets aren't expanding. And actually, Putin said in his speech declaring war on Ukraine that he asked Bill Clinton if Russia could join NATO in the 90s. And Bill Clinton said no.
Why did you say no?
I don't know.
But I mean, what would be the argument for not letting Russia join NATO in the 90s?
Realistically, it would be that it's still an anti-Russia organization.
Okay, and why did they want to join it?
To demonstrate that it's not an anti-Russian organization, because Russia was no longer the Soviet Union.
And then all those people would have to be their allies.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a missed opportunity.
There's a lot of missed opportunities in this story. So...
Because then they would have to play ball. Russia would.
Yeah, ideally. I mean, Russia,
Ideally.
Who knows? The Nazis broke their pact with Russia back in the 30s, so
Yeah.
who knows? So, Gorbachev agrees the Germany's reunited. Within a few years, the Soviet Union's collapsed. Now, the United States says, A, we never really made a written deal about having Germany be NATO's eastern border. That's not official.
We
And
want to keep going.
and besides, you're not the Soviet Union anymore. You're just the Russian Federation. You're a different country. Whereas, of course, Russia says, well, that's bullshit. We all know what you said. And then in the late 90s, Bill Clinton expands NATO. He allows, I believe, Hungary and Romania are the first ones. And shortly after, the Baltics, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. Those three are all former Soviet states. So, Bill Clinton does this despite George Kennan, the architect of the containment policy in the Soviet Union, begging him not to in the 90s.
The
saying,
containment policy against the Soviet Union.
Yeah, which was basically, that's the policy that got us into Korea and Vietnam. It was the idea that, you have to just keep communism where it is. We have to contain communism, or else it's going to spread all over the world. So, Kennan is a cold warrior. He's not soft on Russia. And in the 90s, he's telling Clinton, this is an unnecessary provocation of Russia to expand into the East. There's no reason to do it. All you're doing is picking a fight, now or in the future. But so they do it anyway. And then in 2008, the Bush administration and NATO together announced that it would be possible for Ukraine and the nation of Georgia to enter NATO. Russia says, this is totally unacceptable. If both of those happen, then we'll be almost totally surrounded by a hostile military alliance on our borders, which is not acceptable to us. They argue about that for a while. Flash forward to now. Talks obviously broken down, so Russia is invading Ukraine in order to maintain control of it so that it will not join NATO. Now, all of that having been said, does any of that justify what Putin is doing? No, it does not. It is not a valid war in that way. But it's also not the case that Putin's just an insane person who's just attacking some other country because he hates
I've heard it's...
Ukrainians.
I'm not saying it's popular amongst everyone in Russia, and it's been great to see these amazing peace protests. And
the Russians are
now
not
that
really
it's-
behind Putin.
Now that it's started, now that he actually did it, nobody's liking it.
Yeah.
But what I had seen before was that before Putin did this, there, were a lot of people that in Russian politics or whatever that thought that we should be tough on Ukraine or something like that.
Well, a lot of people in Russia still think that Ukraine functionally is Russia. Mm-hmm. They don't really think that Ukraine is a country. They say that its borders are basically drawn by Lenin, and
drawn by a lemon.
Yeah, and it's historically
The Declaration of Independence, like the map on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
Great.
In
we've all seen the
National Treasure was drawn in lemon. They had to use heat from blow dryer to activate the lemon juice to reveal the secret message.
So
just like the borders.
Yeah. So they say that because of cultures like the Kievan Rus, which was a Russian culture based out of Kiev in Ukraine, and the president of Ukraine, that these two countries have been inseparable forever, basically. Mm-hmm. That it's a fictional divide. Many people in Russia feel this way.
And do they think it's a fictional divide, so we may as well take it over again?
Some do.
Or it's a fictional divide, so let's not bomb them and let them do
it's more want. It's more of we should just take them over again. But part of what's turned the tide against that, even the people that think that, is that the Ukrainians are fighting back. It's hard to make the argument that there's no real national identity here. These people see themselves as Russian. Their government is just a puppet of the West. When you see people fighting back so hard. Mm-hmm. I think it's shown to a lot of Russians that they didn't fully understand how Ukrainians saw themselves. That they thought the Ukrainians basically identified as Russian and would have been basically fine with Putin taking over. Right?
Yeah.
They greeted as liberators.
It reminds me of like an opposite with the Israeli-Palestine situation where it seems like a lot of Israelis don't understand why Palestine's upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas in Russia, they're like, now it's just kind of like, wait, like, stop.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And let's protest it.
So, at this point, Putin's invasion, I would still put money on him winning, whatever that means. But it's not gone the way he wanted.
I can't tell. I keep seeing things about people dying, and of course, he's bombing, like, all over Ukraine. But I'm not seeing, like, is it civilians dying or citizens?
There's
now
a
the
draft.
citizens are
They're the
just
same people.
Civilians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not letting men or boys of a certain age leave the country.
16 to 65, I think.
That's so fucked up.
They're just handing them AKs and sending them back.
God, what a mess.
So...
They can't decide not to. They have to do it.
It's a draft, yeah.
God. But so many people are happy with Zelensky I feel like a lot of pacifists would say, like, he shouldn't have a draft.
I think the number of actual pacifists is really low.
Yeah. Because right now, all the people that are against, all the liberals in America that are against guns, that are against violence,
right. Why would you ever have guns when they have tanks and bombs? That coalition is very in favor of every, babushka in Ukraine picking up a Cold War era AK.
Yeah,
and pointing it out the window.
Zelensky's got a gun.
And Zelensky stayed behind.
When Ted Cruz flew away,
right. And
it's just like, obviously Ted Cruz sucks, and I much prefer Zelensky, and I think it's really admirable that he's fighting back. It's just amazing that it's like the same people that, that think that you shouldn't have any private citizens shouldn't have guns, and are the same people that think it's so sexy that Zelensky is shooting and that every man and boy can't leave. Can't leave.
Yeah.
So it's just really heavy.
Yeah. So whatever they're doing is working. Like, they are fighting Russia back hard.
Yeah.
And Russia's...
It's admirable as hell.
Russia's plan failed. They plan to take out Ukraine really quickly and replace Zelensky, probably kill him. Mm-hmm. I've heard that they've got... that Putin's got a hit, basically, out on him.
It is very scary, especially with how many people are loving Zelensky. It is crazy to think, like, he's not a meme. Like, he's a real man.
He's a real guy.
And his whole family has hit out on them.
Yeah. So that's a scary situation for him.
And he's like, I'm brave, my family's staying in Ukraine. It's like, fuck, get the fuck out of there. I mean, I know that if he left, then it's basically just given over, essentially.
Right. But so, Putin basically, he can't leave at this point without
Can't leave Ukraine.
Yeah, without it being a major humiliation. Like, if he just pulls out, that's not what he wants. He's not going to do that.
Putin don't pull up.
Right. He can't win easily. And even if he did, it's clear that the people of Ukraine would not support a Russian puppet government in place over Zelensky, who now is a hero to Ukrainians. Before, it was kind of a middling popular president.
Yeah,
He's
former
now
comedian.
a hero. Yeah.
Now a hero.
To Ukrainians. So, like, clearly they're not going to accept a Russian puppet government because they're already fighting back. They're not going to accept occupation without committing it to an Afghanistan-level insurgency campaign, basically. So, Putin has no way long-term anymore of holding on to this. So, the only thing he can do is try to sue for peace in terms that is okay with Russia, which will probably mean the annexation of the Donbass, which is the ethnically Russian area in East Ukraine. It would probably mean a promise that, like a formal promise, that Ukraine would never join NATO, would stay formally neutral between NATO and Russia.
Which I don't think is the worst thing.
Right. And probably some level of disarmament of Ukraine in general.
Which is a shame because they just got invaded.
Right.
But
But so those talks have been ongoing, but I heard that they broke down a little bit today, but we'll have to see. But either way, it's not good. Like, having a leader like this who is cornered is not good. He is threatening nuclear war. Putin is. Well, Zelensky doesn't have any. The nation of Belarus, which is just north of Ukraine, the other day amended its constitution to revoke its non-nuclear status so that Russia can put nukes there along the Ukrainian border. I do not expect these to be fired. I think that these are covers for other sorts of escalations in the war.
like, I'm gonna say I'm gonna bring nukes so that you're not paying it, so that the other stuff I do isn't
Doesn't
seen
seem
as
so
bad.
Yeah.
God.
But either way, I think this is basically devolving into an Afghanistan-style thing for Putin, so he's got to figure out a way to get out of it fast. And if he doesn't, then we're going to start seeing palace coup-style intrigue in Russia, I think. People within the inner circle that have been on board until now that don't like the way things are going.
I mean,
maybe make some moves to...
It feels like...
This was a huge failure.
It feels like Putin has been threatening this for so long, but it's like, would this be the bee in everyone, in the most other potential Russian leaders' bonnets? Would this be the main priority?
It's the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, this is...
Yeah, it's like a forever
killing
issue.
a bunch of Russians. It's destroying their economy. The sanctions that are being put on them by even China and Switzerland are putting sanctions on Russian banks. It's destroying their economy, which means that the oligarchs aren't happy, then things might change.
Sounds like Olive Garden.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. Yeah. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of life. I mean, it's a huge strategic failure. It's a huge fuck up.
Well, I hope that something stops Putin, and then, that no one else would want to continue in that track. Because it does scare me when, it's like, don't want to, get into World War III because of...
it feels too much...
Because of, like, because of one or two decisions of, like, do we, it's interesting how it's like, if, actual U.S. troops are in Ukraine, which aren't some actually in Ukraine.
Well, I mean, we have operators everywhere.
But it's like...
like, the UN... Our UN ambassador said that at this point there's no option of sending, like, uniformed military in.
But it's just... It scares me of, like, what's the line between... we're condemning Putin, but we're not getting involved, versus suddenly we've pissed off Putin or we're his enemy.
Well, if the previous world wars are any indication, it would be us getting attacked directly.
Ugh. Well, that's scary.
Yeah, but like I said, those are all worst case scenarios. I really don't. Like I was saying, I really think that the most likely option is that Putin figures out a way to negotiate a way out of this.
I hope so,
I've been wrong before. But the ones I sketched out are worst case scenario. I mean, at this point, I would think it's more likely that Putin's going to get deposed than the nuclear weapons get used.
Part of me is like, oh, it's so weird that someone hasn't taken out Putin already. But that would definitely start World War III.
You mean like the U.S. hasn't taken out Putin?
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that.
If it happened internally from...
Yeah, the thing is, it would have to be somebody who's already in his circle, somebody who's been with him this far.
And then it wouldn't cause a World War III necessarily, because it was internal.
Right, it would be an internal coup of somebody who's trying to end what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it no longer works out for Russia. So that is what's going on in Russia, Ukraine.
There's, a lot of people talking about how hypocritical it is that people are upset about Ukrainians dying when, other countries are also getting bombed. And also, Ukraine does have a history of racism and neo-Nazis. What was that show we watched, like Extreme Religions or something, that had the, like, Vice show that had the Ukrainian neo-Nazis, I think? I think it was, like, Hate Thy Neighbor. It's a really good show.
It is Hate Thy Neighbor.
But,
let me double check and let me just make totally sure.
But I'll just say, so, in the episode...
Oh, wait, sorry. Not only, is it Ukraine, but it's the Azov battalion that he shoots with.
Oh, really?
The one that they're part of the Ukrainian National Guard.
Yeah, if you want to
They're
learn
a
about
neo-Nazi organization.
these neo-Nazis that are part of the Ukrainian National Guard.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of liberals are yas-queening these people, and what was that picture in Canada? The woman holding up the neo-Nazi flag that's in the Canadian government?
Oh, yeah, Chrystia Freeland, the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, holding up a flag associated with some Ukrainian group.
Yeah, and it's like, if I didn't see that episode of that show, maybe I wouldn't have thought that there were neo-Nazis in Ukraine, but also it's like, there are so many in Eastern Europe in general.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, that does suck.
Yeah.
And yes, they're turning away, like, black Ukrainians and stuff, as not prioritizing them for refugees getting out. And the refugee situation seems like a mess right now. But anyway, so that is terrible.
Yeah,
but
of course.
But yeah, it's like, those are some of the people that are defending Ukraine, and those are some of the people that relief money is going to. That's just the way it is. And
it's not a clean situation.
Yeah, but neither is other countries that we've given aid to when they were being
funding
attacked.
A genocide in Yemen. It's like
so that's rough, but I definitely think we should just try to be anti-war in whatever case we can, and also we can acknowledge that it's like either way, it's a terrible thing that's happening.
Yeah, NATO has outlived its usefulness. Russia shouldn't invade other countries. Neo-Nazis are bad. That's my stance.
I agree. Russia's a very big country. These are all true.
These are all truths. I would be interested in what the Azov Battalion thinks of the fact that their new national hero is Jewish.
It's very complicated. It's so easy to look at the black and white, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's like, there was that window when when people were starting to learn about Zelensky, where it was like, oh my gosh, this Jewish, a lot of people sharing, like, about Ukraine's rich Jewish history.
Yeah.
And so it feels like, okay, so they're the...
Ask what happened to a lot of Ukrainian Jews in the 1940s.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Ukrainians collaborated with the Nazis then, too.
But so it just shows it's not black and white, but it doesn't mean that...
Doesn't justify what Russia's doing.
Zelensky's Jewish, Putin isn't Jewish. There's a lot of, like, layers to it, but also it's it's not black and white.
Right. But either way, innocent people shouldn't be dying over it.
Absolutely.
And that's the tea.
That is the tea, the drink with jam and bread.
All right, we got to wrap this up.
So thank you so much for listening to us again. For the people that have told us that they subscribe to us still and listen to us whenever we put out an episode. We love you all. If you have any questions about, and want Kyle's take or my take, We had one question from a listener, Arthur O'Reilly, tattoo artist of Instagram, asking us, how is all of this conflict going to affect, or was it conflict, or how is, like, the virus? I don't know. How is
conflict, I think.
the state of the world affecting wrestling?
Well, clearly you're going to have a character based on Zelensky fight a character based on Putin at WrestleMania.
All right. Oh my God. John Cena as Putin.
Yeah, well, John Cena is Putin, and Brock Lesnar will be
I see that.
Zelensky.
I can see that.
And it'll be great.
Yeah. So let's all keep calm and carry bongs.
That's not a hard sign off.
Okay.
What's our sign off?
And cluck you.
Oh,
Wait,
good
no.
night and good cluck.
Good night and good cluck.
Bye.
Bye. Do you want to do a mini episode? I'm not gonna be editing like crazy. No.
Edit it like crazy.
Uncut Joms.
Uncut Joms.
Uncut Joms.
Uncut Joms.
Anyway, it's staying.
Okay, great.
Let's lay down the track while we got you on the couch.
I'm the cat. We're sitting on the couch.
The couch.
We're a couple of armchair generals today.
That's what generals say.
Oh,
Okay.
We've had a long day, folks.